So we are joined here with the 501st, the Rebel Legion, the Droid Builders Association. This is Droid Building 101. So go ahead and take it away, guys.
All right, Marcel, I love the helmet. That
Thank
looks
you.
awesome.
It doesn't work with my headphones.
Hold on. I don't have the stream up yet, but I will see it as soon as I get that up.
All right. So Naka, I think this is started off as your panel, and you graciously shared space. So why don't you go ahead and take it away first?
I think AJ's going to do the introduction here.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. This is a combo panel of Star Wars costuming in general. Mike was gracious to let us join in. So we're going to cover bad guys, good guys, droids, everything in between, and it'll be good. All right, Marcel, if you could do next slide. I wonder if there's a lag on the stream.
Might be.
There we go. Okay. So what we're going to discuss today includes everything from panelist introductions as to who we are, the service and charity we do, the different organization profiles, so the 501st Legion and the local New England garrison here in New England, the Rebel Legion and Alderaan Base, the local group there here in New England, and then the Mandalorian Mercs Club, which is the local in New England is called Faraxon Clan, the Droid Builders, which Mike is going to talk about, the charity and costuming work that we do, it's all intertwined, how you can do it too, and then we'll take your questions if you have any. Next slide, please, Marcel.
So just assume that I move the slides. It sounds like you're a little delayed, AJ.
Oh, okay, cool. So just an introduction as to who we are. I'm AJ, I'll be your moderator. My other 501st cohort's Krista, TK1682.
Hello!
She's in here as well. Next slide, Marcel. Then for Alderaan Base and the Rebel Legion, we have Millie and Terry. They're going to be representing the Rebels, the good guys. Next slide.
From a certain point of view, right?
From a certain point of view, yes.
Say that.
For the Mandalorian Mercs, we're going to have Melissa. She's currently not in the chat here, but she's off-site looking at the actual comments on the stream. So if you have questions about the Mandalorians in particular, you can message them and she'll probably see them. And we can coordinate off camera to answer those questions for you, but she is here. Next slide, please. And then for the droid builders, we have Mike and his R2 unit, R2A3, are going to be answering your questions about the droids. And next slide. All right, so who we are. Why is Star Wars this thing that so many people interact with, that so many people love, that so many people recognize? Well, because it's instantly recognizable. It blew up the pop culture phenomenon in 1977, and it's a very human story. It's the story of the underdog. It's the classic story of from antiquity, the hero's hero. We connect to it because it's a universal story and it's applicable across the board. Star Wars is also awesome because it's so applicable. You have a great representation in the genre itself. You've got humans, aliens, droids, and everything in between. And from a costuming perspective and from a droid perspective, from a building perspective, you can portray and be these people, which allows you to escape and be a different person for a short amount of time, either at a convention or at one of the charity things that we do. Next slide. I'm going to defer to Krista for this next slide. So the charity organizations that we've supported on both a global and a local scale.
Hi, everyone across the world and locally, wherever you are. I want to highlight something that AJ had mentioned to us earlier as we were preparing for you, and that is service before self. And so a lot of what we do is hand-in-hand costuming and charity work. So within the United States, we have a push towards the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and the 501st has an endowment. Also, the Peter Mayhew Foundation is another nationwide example of our service before self. And locally, the New England Garrison has been working with groups such as the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. The Jimmy Fund is a wing of that. The National Alliance on Mental Health is another one as well. And many different aspects of charity, from children to adults. Our idea is we want to encourage philanthropy and volunteerism wherever possible through Star Wars and through your local community as well. So while we do focus on money-raising events, we also do other charity events that is geared towards supporting your local community, whether it be through blood drive or a library event or something that helps to maintain and support our sense of community, which right now, although we are physically distant, we are still socially connected with each other. AJ?
Thanks, Krista. Thank you. It's just some of the stuff that we support, very charity oriented, but we also do it for ourselves too. It's just to have fun while supporting a very good cause. Next slide, Marcel, please. I'm also going to defer to Krista to this slide. This is about the 501st Legion in and of itself on a big scale, national scale, and then also going down to our local scale in New England.
That's right. The 501st Legion was formed in 1997 by Albin Johnson. We are worldwide. If we do not have a local unit near you, that's fine. Create a costume, and you can also start your journey with us with the 501st Legion. I would love to send you to this website after the ConFromHome is over and you're looking for some more Star Wars in your life. Please go to 501S as in storm, T as in trooper, 501st.com. And there you can find out more about the local unit in your area, as well as detachments. There is a list of detachments, and what those are almost costume specific. So if you're looking for more snow troopers in your life, go to Blizzard Force. If you're like me and you love the armor, go to the 1st Imperial Detachment, Stormtrooper Detachment, FISD. There's a list there for you, as well as a costume reference library. So here with us at the 501st Legion, we have no dues. We don't want your money, we just want you in a costume. That is screen accurate. So as our former Legion membership officer, Brian Anderson, you say, make it look like the picture. And you can find that costume reference library on 501st.com. Now, we are an 18+ organization. That means you do need to be at least 18 years old, wherever you're living in your country, to join. We don't charge for appearances. So take a look at your local unit. We call them garrisons when they're large enough to become garrisons. That's where we are in the New England Garrison. You may have an outpost, you may have a squad in your, but take a look at our worldwide map.
So
now,
I just added a QR code to the stream to the 501st.com for your awareness.
Awesome.
Oh, great.
So our regional unit, New England Garrison, comprises of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and Rhode Island. So we are rather large. I apologize. There's a bit of noise outside, but hey, this is part of our live excitement. We formed New England Garrison, or NEG, formed in 2001. And since then, we have been going throughout the New England area, having fun at different events, as AJ mentioned, at conventions, at different school events. So do take a look at our local website. If you reside in Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire, please go to 501 NEG for New England Garrison, 501neg.com. We would love to connect with you. If you would like more information about, hey, how do I build this? How do I even handle making armor or making a costume like you'll hear from the Rebel Legion? We enjoy a joint forum. So you can reach out to both Rebel and Imperial through that 501neg.com. We would love to connect with you and let you know what we can do locally to help support you and your Star Wars fandom through costuming.
And that's the thing. This is a large organization. It's not just geared towards New England. So to reiterate, please check out your local area, because New England does not service all the world. They do just do northern New England. And you can find out your local garrison information on 501stlegion.com. And the links are at the end of this presentation for anybody who is curious.
There's also the QR codes.
Yes, and the QR codes.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I'll pass it over to my colleague Teresa, or back to AJ.
Okay. Teresa, can Terry hear us?
She's on the...
I can see her.
I
But
can
All
see
she has
her.
to do is start talking, and it should shift to her video.
Okay. I got a picture from her, joined without audio or video.
Okay.
Your browser only supports. So I'm going to fill in for Terry. We're just going to keep going. So the Rebel Legion is similar to the 501st, but it is Rebel-based, good guy-based. Our local base here in New England is called Alderaan Base. Similarly to that, they're centered around the good characters, your hero type characters, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, Princess Leia, all those who portray the light side of this story, and any characters associated with that. Clone Troopers, all the good characters. And again, standards as well are also placed on film accuracy for the costumes, to look like you walked just right off of the set. Alderaan Base, for us in New England, was formed in 2004 by a group of founders. And similarly to our organization for the New England Garrison, both groups have worked together to create a pretty big presence in New England. And it's pretty similarly across shared commitments across the Star Wars fandom as well, on a much larger scale. I'm going to hand it over to Millie to talk about how you yourself can join, and costuming specifics if there are characters you want to portray. So Millie.
Yeah, so if you want to join the Rebel Legion, if you are local to Alderaan Base, you can sign up on our forums, first of all, if you want to be a member. You also have to be 18 to join, just like the 501st. Sign up on there, get involved. You do not have to have a costume to get involved with us at first. That's what I did. I'm a newer member. So you can sign up. You can help wrangle, which is basically like helping out like costumed characters like at events. And you can like meet with people and like talk, like get help from people who might know like more about, sewing and stuff like that. And
I have a question. Wasn't Alderaan destroyed? How are you guys still around?
Alderaan was destroyed.
It was.
The spirit lives on in
I would say, I'd say that we're paying tribute to Alderaan, if you know what I mean.
So you named the base after Alderaan. It's not on Alderaan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Named
This is
after.
important question.
All right. Let's move on from that. So for the next slide, please. You left out of there, Marcel. I couldn't hear you. There we go. Mandalorian mercs. So the mercs are recognizable in Star Wars universe through the bounty hunter Boba Fett, and then if you've seen the prequel trilogy, Jango Fett as well. They are Mandalorians, and this costuming group portrays the Mandalorian mercs. And this costume group, again, is a global organization, but is also very local to our region as well and other regions around the world. They are unique in that they portray their own Mandalorian characters. They allow creativity of their individual costumes while still adhering to standards that are seen in the movie. So you still have to look like you're in Star Wars, but it allows much greater flexibility and creativity. The group also encourages self-improvement. So as much as it is a group of fans coming together for a common love for Star Wars, it's very much about self-improvement, personal growth, and fellowship with your peers as well. And to be a bounty hunter, let's be frank, is pretty freaking cool. You don't adhere to any one side, highest bidder, as it were. If you're looking for more information on that, Melissa, our local Mandalorian, is in the comments section, and you can ask questions as to what interests you for the mercs, and she'd be happy to answer your questions. Next slide, please, Marcel.
We have a comment in the chat. This is the way.
This is the way, indeed.
This is the way.
This is an example of some of the costumes you could encounter at any of our booths, portraying bad guys, good guys, death troopers, stormtroopers, your scoundrels, everybody in between. And what's remarkable is that these costumes are to film standards. You have to look like you walked right off set because that's part of the magic. And what creates part of this magic too is, next slide, please, Marcel, are the props that we have. And we do utilize props in a lot of what we do, either our displays or what the characters are carrying themselves to enhance viewership of the booths themselves when we hold booths, or when we do troop charity events. It adds to the atmosphere, and they're fun to make and produce. A lot of our members here and around the world are very creative, and they use those talents to produce some really amazing props. Showcased here is a full-sized K2SO made by one of our members, Brian. He is amazing, as is other prop makers in our group. And we love the work that they do because they enhance our portrayal and the atmosphere that's surrounded at the conventions. Next slide, please.
I have a question. So I know you're an Army officer, but you have for Imperial use only here. Is this a breach of security to be viewing these slides?
This is a Imperial briefing, sir, on all aspects of this.
Got you, as you were.
You have
Oh
rebels
my
here,
goodness.
AJ. What the heck?
You are too, Marcel. Get out of here. All right, so now we come to the one of the awesome parts of our discussion, our droids. And bless my circuits, we're going to turn it over to Mike, who's going to talk about the droid building and how you too can build your own droid. Mike, take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead if you could go to the next. Go to the next slide. So yeah, building the droids of Star Wars. We've done this. This will be the short version of what we do at some of the other conventions, and just go through some of the basics on droid building and what goes into making a droid. As I said, my name's Mike, and with me here I've got R2, and he kind of hangs out in the background and makes some noise. So if you would, the droid builders kind of formed as an umbrella over all the other droid building groups. The R2 builders, BB-8 builders, Mouse Droid, the Chopper builders, the T3 builders, pretty much anything out there, somebody's building it. If you would go to the next. So one of the things I like to start off with is the answers to the three most common questions. And they are, yes, you can, no, we don't, and how much do you want to spend? So, and those questions are, Can I build one? Yes, you can. Do you sell kits? No, we can't do. Here's an R2 in a box. Go put it together. Same. I know the Rebel Legion, the 501st do the same thing. You can't take a fully formed. Here's a kit in a box and put it together because of licensing. And then how much does it cost? And that depends. What do you want to build it out of? How much are you going to make yourself? I've seen them go anywhere from $500 to $20,000, and it's that big because it's somebody that's scratch building out of plastic and wood, all the way up to somebody that's buying parts made out of aluminum. So it depends. It doesn't have to be that big $20,000 Cadillac droid. It can be, $500 and it'll look just as good. I've got about $3,500 in mine, and put them next to somebody that spent all that money, and you can't tell them apart, other than the colors, of course. So if you would, the next slide. So the R2 Builders Club, R2 is obviously first seen in 1977 in New Hope. And the Builders Club as it is right now was founded in 1999. We have local builder groups, but we don't have garrisons or bases or anything like that, like the 501st and Rebel Legion does. So it's a little bit different for us, and you kind of sign up on the website, and okay, hey, you're a member of the club, and now you start your build process. If you would go to the next slide. So in the BB-8 builders, BB-8 was first seen in 2014 when he rolled across the screen in the trailer for that new movie. Within less than a month, people had taken screenshot stills, pictures from when they had him out on tour, and people in the BB-8 Builders Club had put those into 3D modeling software, and we had a fully 3D render of BB-8. The trick from that became, how big is this? Okay, if the body's this big, the dome's this big, it doesn't make sense. If the dome's this big, the body's this big, that doesn't make sense. So what somebody found is on BB-8's dome, there's a little light display. And that somebody in Germany said, oh, that's from an ATM. From that one piece, everything else on BB-8 fell into place for scale. So the club was able to crowdsource and build BB-8 within less than 2 months of even that first trailer coming out. So if you would go to the next slide. So the R series, that's going to be your R2, R5 there. You've got the R1s. Any of the standard R2D2 style Astromechs is going to fall into R series. That's going to be at your astromech.net. My guy here is mostly plastic. The dome is made out of fiberglass. I know a lot of guys that do them out of wood, and then they put styrene or aluminum skins over them. Some guys do full aluminum. Some guys do full plastic. You can actually do a full plastic dome, which is pretty cool.
What did the actual movie prop use?
It was a combination of aluminum and fiberglass. So and the neat thing on that is anytime that you see him upright, and with the two-legged and he kind of shuffles around or stuff like that, that's actually Kenny Baker inside of him. If you look down at his feet, you can see in the R2 that I've got in the slide there where he's upright, you would actually see little black dryer vents coming out from the bottom of the body and curving out into the feet. And that's where Kenny Baker's feet actually stood when he stood inside R2. There's a lot of neat behind the scenes pictures of him in there, and you can see some of the inner workings of it. And they were remote control at the time, but they didn't always work very well. So in a lot of scenes where he's down on 3 legs and he goes in a straight line because they had to pull him on a string to get him across the stage. Because the radio technology at the time wasn't as good as it is now. And even now, it's not all that great sometimes. Various materials. Again, it's just whatever you're comfortable working with. A lot of people are starting to do 3D printed, and I've seen some really good looking 3D printed droids. They're saying that those take between 12 and 21 kilogram spools of PETG is what they're using. And if you're looking at cost, just did a quick search. $20 a roll on Amazon, 15 rolls, that's $300. If you already have a large format printer, that's not too bad of a way to do it. And then you're going to add your electronics and finishing time and that kind of stuff. If you want to go to the next one. And the BB-8s. Yes, the Death Star there is not a BB-8 as much as it would like to be. BB-8, BB-9E, any of the other color schemes that you see or anything that you make up, most of those are going to be 3D printed. And then all the electronics and stuff that goes on inside. The electronics on those run starting about $2,000. So it's not a cheap project, but they are probably the coolest ones to see out and interact with. I always love seeing them out when I take R2 out and I'm going, okay, I want BB-8 now too. And it's, you build one and then you're like, okay, well, and the next time I build one, I'm going to do this. And the next time I'm going to build one, I'm going to do this. And all the ideas just keep rolling and goes from there.
Was that pun intentional?
Yeah, we'll go with that. The next slide.
You'll roll with it? I'll stop.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop singing. All right, then we've got all the other droids. You got Chopper, you've got T3 from Knights of the Old Republic, you've got the pit droids from Phantom Menace, you've got the nurse droid that was in the VR repair bay. So that one's kind of neat because somebody took one of the little remote control, like half-size kits, and put a different dome on it. And that's the nurse droid from the VR repair bay VR experience. We've got Dio from Rise of Skywalker. Somebody's actually got him 3D printable, and fully drivable. BD1 from Fallen Order. They're not actually walking, but I've seen them where the head moves around and the lights light up. And if it's out there, somebody's probably building it. So they're pretty cool out there. Yep. And then kind of got a little bit jumbled there. We got Droid Builders info. We got Astromech.net, the Mouse Droid Builders Club, and BB-8. I'm trying to remember the BB-8 builders. Just Google BB-8 builders and you'll find them. And get all the good information on that. AJ?
Yes, yep, that's right. Next slide, Marcel, please.
Yeah, we're back up.
We're back up, but this is getting towards the end of our slide deck. This is just kind of a thanks acknowledgement and the sources for all of you out there listening. Thanks to the ConFromHome team. I know they threw this together really, really quick in a span of 2 weeks. And to throw something as massive as this together in a very short amount of time. I know Marcel said he had the team to do it, but man, it is not an easy undertaking. So good job to all of you guys. I also want to thank Robin Studios, which took many of the pictures that you saw for the costumes and the props were his photographs. So thank you, Ben, for allowing me to use your photographs. The panelists themselves, I know that I want to say that this was thrown together pretty hastily. So for those that did join in the matter of a couple days and throwing this together was really, really phenomenal. And for Mike specifically for letting us to join in on his. He beat us to the punch, but it was good for him to let us join in on his time slot. Very, very appreciative of that. And for your all reference, all the websites are there, 501st.com, our local website, the Rebel Legion, and the Mandalorian Mercs. And then after that, we've got questions for all of you.
So I'm just going to go ahead and ask the question that everybody's wondering, which is, how do you get the head to stay on the BB-8?
So BB-8, yeah, it's fun. Because, and if you're not careful, BB-8's head will fall off while you're driving. So BB-8 is actually runs on a single axle in the middle, and then the head comes up from a post, and then it uses magnets to hold it on top. So if you don't have big enough magnets, or you have too big of magnets, it's a balancing act. But yeah, it's magnetized on there.
Got it. All right. Does anybody how do magnets work though? Okay.
That's beyond the scope of this presentation.
Okay, so do we have anybody in the lobby, the con lobby, the horde? That how much time do you have? That has any questions? We'll go there first because you guys have audio. And just raise your hand while you're there.
I saw one earlier and it said how to get involved, and there are local websites
There
even
are
for
local-
local garrisons. So
Yes.
it's a matter of doing your research locally, whether you're in the United States or whether you're international. There are garrisons, bases, good guys, bad guys, mercs. It's
Simple-
all out there.
Simple
Just
Google search,
Yep,
like
depend-
if you Google search, say Massachusetts Rebel Legion, group, the first thing that will probably pop up is the Alderaan base website, which would then redirect you to the New England Garrison forum, which the Alderaan base and 501st New England Garrison all share. We all share the same forum, so
Here in the Carolinas, it's Carolina Garrison and Blue Ridge Base, and I think it's Talon Clan from the Mandalorians. And then we've got the Carolina Astromechs on Facebook. Each group has their own local presence, but you can also find it through the main club
website.
forum.
Yeah, it goes for all clubs.
Okay, I'm also intensely curious about one, how has the current COVID crisis impacted your outreach efforts, your projects, but also maybe if you're doing anything in response to it with your charity works, or have you heard of other garrisons and whatnot doing?
So the legions themselves are taking a lot of guidance from other governmental organizations like the CDC in terms of the response, and actually all trooping was postponed until
30 days.
30 days, April 15th, something like
Yeah.
that, just an initial
As
timeline.
of right now.
Right. So all trooping has been postponed but not canceled indefinitely. I'm sure dates are probably just shifting around.
I lost you there for a second.
Marcel, I know
Maybe
you're
someone
curious
can
about a
take it over.
stormtrooper. Oh,
And it's different by region. Here in North Carolina, we just went on lockdown, or stay at home, not lockdown, and it goes until the end of April. So it's going to be a challenge for us here. But I think it's one of the things we didn't really talk about is, okay, we build these really cool costumes and props and things. And what do we do with them outside of putting them on display in your room or in your like where is she? Over there. I keep R2 in my front room and he just kind of hangs out, but we do. Make-A-Wish was one of the things that was listed as our one of our charities that we work with. So we do fundraising for Make-A-Wish. We actually do Make-A-Wish presentations. There's been people inducted into the 501st or Rebel Legion through Make-A-Wish. There's I know Make-A-Wish does a lot of stuff at Disney, so they'll have character visits with Make-A-Wish events. We had a family day here probably early last year where it was all the Make-A-Wish families in the area got together and they had a picnic as just kind of a way to connect and get together. And I took R2. We had a couple R2s out there. We had all the characters out there. We had Vader. We had stormtroopers and Princess Leia and the Jedi, and all the people just got so excited to see all of us out there and just to come out and hang out and do stuff with them. So I don't know what kind of troops or events like that you guys do.
right. A lot of it is outreach. I will add that the best feeling you can get, I think, is seeing a young kid, and even the adults, they go back to when they first saw the movies, or it brings a very good memory up for them, and they just get excited. And as a costumer, that's what makes you excited, because they're so into what you're doing. I know I have a Kylo Ren costume is my main costume. This guy here. And I love seeing boys and girls and older people coming up and being like, you killed Han Solo, you killed a national icon, and then we all have a laugh, and it's a good laugh. But the kids just are in awe, because they think it's real and it's able to bring that experience home in the flesh.
Yeah, same with me as Ray. Every time I troop, I'd get at least one little girl say that I'm their favorite, and that like melts my heart. And that's what I love about trooping, is that like little girls come up to you and say, "Hey, I'm your favorite."
I would love to highlight something that Mike had mentioned earlier about the global support and building, whether or not it's a kit or from scratch. Like as the movie come out and you had the trailers and you're trying to put together BB-8 just by what you saw in the little milliseconds and different frames. One of my best experiences was building the Force Awakens Stormtrooper kit. I was part of the Anovo's test environment to see, well, what would happen if we try to release kits like this to the public, what would happen? And so there was about 70 of us that were trying to put together a little TFA TK without ever having seen the movie. All we had was the trailers. We didn't have very much reference. And like right now, where we can't really necessarily have these build parties where I can literally sit next to you and help you sand a part of your armor, what we had to do in that time in 2015, we had just a few weeks to try to build an entire kit. Well, we were scattered throughout the US and Canada with the way these were rolled out to us. And we all worked together totally online, sending reference pictures. We think this is how the forearm gets put together. Is that working for you? Oh, we're going to have to paint this. What type of paint? Exactly the paint number that you're using. And we work together online, collaboratively. So even though, again, that we might be physically distant, we are still socially connected. And this is a great time for you to take a look at maybe a new costume, if you already have one, or if you'd like to embark in your journey right now into Star Wars, please do join us. Join your local group, like Mike with the Carolina Garrison and his local group. And take a look at their website. Come to ours if you're within the New England area. And if you're not sure, go to that Rebel or 501st Legion website. We'd love to connect with you and help you with that journey. And this is a great time to be able to start.
I think that's well said.
So we have a question from the audience, actually, for Ray. Are you going to do a dark Ray?
I'd love to do a dark Ray, and it would be great if there was a front and back reference for dark Ray to be potentially 501st approvable. So, crossing fingers.
Maybe there'll be a production still or something that shows Daisy Ridley in the costume.
I hope so.
All right, Marcel, I know you got questions, man. I know you want a Stormtrooper kit. Come on, lay them on me.
Lauren, I got a question for the group. Who shot first?
Oh, Han Solo.
Han Solo.
Isn't that murder?
Self-defense.
No.
Han Solo.
Okay.
One thing I will.
Go ahead. Go.
I was to say one thing I will say, and it goes for building R2 or building whatever. Do research. It's only going to help you in the long run. I spent probably 6 months doing research on building R2 before I even ordered bought any parts. And I'm sure the TKs and I know Darth Vader and Kylo Ren get tricky, and some of the Jedi. Jedi looks simple. It's nothing
Jedi is simple. Yeah.
But planning and research is free.
Planning
and research is free. However, once you buy it, then it's no longer free.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
If only the Sith deal in absolutes, then is Obi-Wan a Sith?
What's funny is I watched that movie last night and I thought about that as he says it. Is like, man, I don't know, Obi-Wan. That's a tall order there, man.
Okay.
Too good.
Also, I mean, chime in, raise your hand, folks in the con lobby, if you have any questions. Also, I'd like to recognize Connie's Leia right now. She looks fabulous. Maybe we can get her featured.
My God.
All right, Connie.
I saw the lightsaber flying around earlier.
Oh yeah, there she is.
Really?
There she is.
Hey.
That was pretty great. She did. I think it was green.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yay, Connie. I'm now seeing the stream, so.
Yeah, there it is. I knew I saw it.
Yeah, I did too. I like pointed that out when I first saw like the stream. I was like, oh my God, is that Connie as Leia? That's awesome.
So
And it's so fun to go to.
Oh,
a
she has
convention.
the green lightsaber.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's so fun to go to a convention and to hear people's stories about Star Wars, like we said earlier, and go, I'd like to get involved, but and then you start talking about, well, you don't have. There's ways to overcome that, but you don't have. There's nothing holding you back other than you. So.
And I'll also mention on a personal note, if I may. One of the things that makes Star Wars so appealing to people is how it contrasts, like it's a very clear evil. It contrasts evil with good. And we saw that the second that Darth Vader came in and was choking out the rebel trooper, and we knew he was evil from the very beginning. It came in 1977. This was immediately after Vietnam, immediately after Watergate. It was a very dark time for our country, at least in the narrative for our country. And as we go through, arguably, no matter what your perspective is, a very dark time right now, I think it can provide a lot of light for folks and hope in very bad places. And maybe whereas, I'll leave it at that.
No,
Yeah, I agree with Phil. I think there's no coincidence that Episode 4 is labeled A New Hope. And within that own canon universe, it's coming out of its own dark time as well and struggling to find the next foot forward. For myself as a woman in Star Wars fandom, I found great hope that there was a woman protagonist who could hold her own and hold a blaster and know how to use it. I'm very excited by that. I think there are many different themes within the Star Wars canon, and now with Disney's ownership of it, we're seeing even more of an explosion of diversity. Yes, exactly. Yes, with our friend Ray, there's even more places to be able to see yourself, and representation is hope as well.
Yes.
I think right now there are so many stories that we can use both as distraction, but also as I don't know, a meditational tool for how can I look at this particular problem in a different way. So I think that's great. I'll turn to my other panelists, who I'm sure have thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think if Star Wars has a central theme, if any, because there's a lot of themes, I think it's hope. Hope is definitely, I think, the one thing that it all combines. I mean, you have a movie titled with it in there, but even the cyclic nature of the movies, you see this protagonist go through these trials and tribulations, and that hope is the carrying light throughout all the movies. Redemption, even in Vader and in Kylo, hope is would be, in my view, a central theme. Anyone else can add into?
I agree. 100%.
Also, it's hope, but it's also look at what we can do if we all work together. Right. I mean, you've got this ragtag band that becomes the resistance. It starts with a couple of people, and they start pulling in all these other people. And hey, my friend can do this, my friend can do that, and we all work together, and we can do anything.
I just see in the message board, I see you there, Melissa. Han didn't shoot first. That would imply there was a second shot involved. Okay.
Okay, Melissa. Okay.
Okay.
Nice one, Melissa.
So I've got a question for the Imperial, the 501st.
Cool.
Yep. Is your armor susceptible to Ewoks with rocks?
That's that is absolutely
honorable craft. If there is an Ewok, and we do in our local
We
unit,
do have an Ewok.
lovely Ewok. I love our Ewok.
Same.
And if we decided to throw a rock, it would. Now, in the canon lore, if you're talking about canon lore, I will defer to those who are far more well-read than I am. but definitely, our armor is just, it's made in different ways. Some is vacuum formed plastic, so it can be thin and brittle in some areas. Some is resin casting, which again could be thin and brittle. And some folks have been working on 3D printing, and that has different matters of resilience as well.
Okay, so we're coming up on our planned 45 minutes. I think we have a 15-minute transition, so we can go over if we want. And I'd also like to recognize the little Mandalorian in our con lobby right now.
Oh my god.
Right.
All right.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh my god. Yes.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
So any last or final thoughts from each of you?
No, I really want to take the time again to thank all the panelists here that really took time out of their day, time out of their quarantine, wherever they are, if they're in quarantine, if they're not, whatever they're doing, they took time to come here and talk about their love of this universe, whether it's droids, bad guys, good guys, whatever it is that interests you. To my fellow panelists, thank you all for your time. It's been fun, despite being thrown together at the last minute, a little hectic. I think it came together pretty well.
But isn't that the story of this virus, that everything's thrown together and a reaction to it? So
Right.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
I've been told by so many people that volunteered for this that my other conventions that I had plans for were canceled. So I'm so happy we get to feature you. Especially with these vendors and these artists. We've got some live art going on right there in the stream.
Right.
This is the type of experience that you get at a convention.
Right. It's been awesome seeing all the artwork.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike, and the Droid Builders for sharing your time with us and having a Star Wars Love Fest here together and with all of y'all across the miles. And a little bit of shout out to my friends in Louisiana who are talking to you remotely about Fast Alpha Garrison. Howdy, y'all.
I'll say thanks to you guys for joining me. It would probably be boring for most of the people at home sitting and listening to me talk for an hour. But no, thank you guys for joining me. Thanks, Marcel, for putting all this together. I know you roped me into this.
It was the whole team.
And thanks everybody for watching at home. I will say, I enjoy building and making stuff. You can see some of my, which side is it this way? All my boxes back here. I've got a full room full of all of electronics. While you're stuck at home, do it. I know a lot of us are still working from home, hopefully. But while you're stuck at home, do some research. Go build something. Take the time, learn a skill, make something.
I like it. So I'm going to transition to the con lobby real quick.